And every high efficiency furnace has a trap. There's either one here, there's one here, and there's also a black one on the left-hand side and the bottom on that one. And those traps would be plugged, but that would be something that you would probably leave up to a service guy or something beyond, okay? But again,
So you're looking for the trap to be plugged?
it could be plugged with debris, and that would be a maintenance item that would cause the furnace to shut down or not work. It'd be similar to a current maintenance item like a filter. That would be, and the trap would be the most failure points, the most logical failure points on a furnace. If that's where if you had a failure, that's where I would look. Plug filter or a plug. Keep your face away from the burners. The best thing to do in every light of furnace is to stand always outside of the edge of this furnace here and have your hand on the switch. Anybody's furnace, anytime, even if it looks like a brand new furnace, you can kill it, Tommy. Even if it looks like a brand new furnace, and even if it is brand new, it's a rule of thumb. You never stand and look in the window to see it ignite, because if it has a bad ignition, this will be your eyepiece. I mean, it'll blow. So if there's ever going to be a problem, it would come from here. Danger. It's not going to come from here or down here. It's going to come from here. So always keep yourself outside of the box of the furnace. When it lights like this, because if something does come out and you have an ignition problem, like here, the flames will come this way. They'll come out this way, and then they'll roll up. Okay, so always keep your body outside of the case of the furnace when it's going to light. The gas valve has an electronic pump. Some jobs, I don't know, I just brought it up here just because some jobs have lift pumps. That's another maintenance item. That's an item that you might want to pour a glass of water and make sure it turns on and turns off if you see one of those. Okay.
What is the purpose of a lift pump?
If you don't have a floor drain nearby, you would lift to another location, like a laundry tub or a sink or another drain somewhere else. Well, here, this is the part that takes the heat out of the air, and this is a filter dryer. What you want to look for is you want to look for corrosion on top of here. If it's corroding, that means this is leaking, and that's a bad thing. Okay. If there's corrosion on this, is called a blower deck. If there's corrosion on here, you'd want to take and identify that. All right, on some kind of a note or on your checklist that there's corrosion. That means that there's a leak somewhere in here or somewhere from above. Because water and electricity and furnaces don't get along. It'll poof stuff, it'll wreck boards, it'll wreck switches, it'll do a lot of damage, okay? So corrosion is, visual inspection's a big thing. Or if you see around the rim of the furnace, you see rust around the rim, that means the water's going into the furnace and coming out the bottom. It charges the particles, then it kills the bacteria or the viruses or the spores, and then it traps them in the media. So it does both. It kills, captures, and traps. Okay, these will trap, but they won't kill. So you'll have live viruses still in your filter. So that, with studies, that still causes sickness, and they can still pass. Okay. So this one kills and captures.
Okay.
These will capture.
So what's the change in price for a media filter comparative to that newfangled one?
Ballpark. Media is around $250. If they go up to that electronic series, that specific one, you're around $1,150
Per furnace?
So quite a bit, yeah. Per furnace, you're taking a big jump in price. But if you have people with very severe allergies, or if they're sick, or
asthma,
any of these things.
During our total home care process, offer this to a client that currently has a media filter. You would be able to take off the media filter and add this in?
Yep, yes we would. And redo the ductwork here and then make it attached correctly.
On each furnace, if you redid something like that, approximately what would our cost be?
It would probably be around the same, $1,200, $1,200.
So, and they just plug into an outlet. I don't know if I got to bring an electrician in to do any wiring in that. There might be some additional wiring costs.
But generally speaking, it would be around $1,200 would cover.
Can that go in the same outlet that usually in the furnace we put a switch,
yes,
a kill switch and an outlet?
Yeah,
can that go in that same, or does that have to be?
No,
we plug mine into that. That's what we did. Mine.
So Chad, obviously that gives you an opportunity to talk to the customer about allergies when you're performing the work, and give them an opportunity. How long does it take an installer to bring a furnace in, replace, and get going a new furnace?
A day per furnace is a good way to plan it.
A day per furnace. Okay.
Yeah. Okay.
And what do you do with the old? What do you do with the old furnace?
We scrap them, but we strip them and scrap them. So they have to go in separate directions, the metals. So they recycle all the parts.
So you take them back away for the customer?
Yeah, oh yeah, we haul everything away, clean up the job site, and we try and make it a turnkey deal. So we try and do the electrical and the installation exactly the same day. So it's all done in one day. So we tarp the entire house. go in, take the furnace out, put the new furnace in, he wires it, we remove our tarps and clean up after ourselves. Our coils here a little bit. There are some gold screws. We buy the more expensive coil cabinets that are insulated and they're serviceable, and that's because they're better, obviously, but they cost more money, but it's a better job. If you took these 2 gold screws out, these are 5/16 screws, you could take this door off and look in with a flashlight to inspect it to see if there's rodents in there. That's generally what you'll find, is mice and things like that. And they'll be laying in here. Or debris from construction that comes down, you know, sticks, log, you know, drywall,
Wood
whatever.
ducks.
What, wood ducks? But anyways, but yeah, if you're gonna find something, that's where you're gonna find it. Because if you look on this top of this coil, this isolates it. This is the top side where the plenum sits on. There's nothing can get beyond this. So everything will be laying on here. Okay. So if you have a foul smell in a house, you want to take these 2 5/16 screws out, take the door off, and you can look and you find a foul smell right here.
Okay.
You know, whether it's a squirrel,
Squirrel,
or
whatever.
whatever.
So that's where a rodent would get into your ductwork and climb down?
Yeah, he would migrate through the ductwork, and then he would fall to this point. And then he would lay in here, you know, either along this side or this side. And he can't get back up because this is a straight side steel. So he'll try and claw his way up and then end up back in and then end up probably dying in here, you know, unless you hear him before that and then you can rescue him.
Or they're gonna be by the filter if they
Or
get
they'll
on the
be,
other
or they'll
end.
be in the elbow of the filter, you know where the filter elbow
Yep.
comes down like that, they'll be laying in the bottom of here, and then they usually destroy the filter. They usually chew it up. What we do is there's a manufacturer's warranty that we can purchase in addition to what the standard warranties would be. And it is, we can purchase either a 5-year parts and labor, or we can purchase a 10-year parts and labor. And then what happens is that would just go on to that serial number. But it's only carrier logoed stuff. It's not the zone system, it's not other things, it's just basically the equipment itself. So if you do have a situation like John had where a mouse gets in there and chews up, you know, some wires, or you got a leak in one of these coils, you know, who knows what goes wrong. But then it's covered parts and labor. And we do get reimbursed, we get the parts from carrier, but then we do get reimbursed for our labor. So, but it is a good thing, you know, because then you have 10 years too, and you amortize your house and you know what your payments are and you know what it is, at least you're covered for 10 years on your service.
And typical warranty cost per furnace or per air conditioning is like $265 or $300 or something?
Yeah, I think you're right in there, John.
I think
yeah.
it's somewhere in that range.
Yeah, you're
Yeah.
real close.
So that's really almost the cost of one service call, really.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, but it's not intended to be a maintenance thing, it's intended to be a repair thing.
Yeah.
So if you still have to do some maintenance. The condensing unit, which is the outdoor part of the air conditioning, you'd want to look for cottonwood on here, you know, and you can hose that down. That can be hosed straight down or it can be blown off generally, but usually watered better. Another thing you want to look at is you want to look at the line set and the insulation on the line set that goes into the house to make sure it's not all rodent chewed. Sure. And there should be a low voltage wire always with it that travels with it, and you want to make sure it's not been weed whacked, because everybody weed whacks that, or they weed whack the insulation off of here. Okay, and your dirt's going to accumulate from here and then come up this way, because it's drawn. The air's drawn in this way and ejected out the top.
Why do you put the disconnect on in the wintertime?
You would turn it off in the wintertime and on in the summertime.
Why?
Because some of the units have crankcase heaters in them, and they're constantly drawing energy into the compressor, because they want to keep the compressor warm, because you don't want refrigerant to migrate to the compressor. And if you don't turn the breaker off, it'll draw power all winter long. And a lot of rodents will migrate to there because the compressor's warm, and then they'll chew the wires internally. Okay, so you'd want to kill the breaker in the basement, cover the unit. As far as a heat pump goes, which is what I have in my home, you're probably going to see a lot of that coming now. Heat pump technology is coming because a gas furnace, like you see, all three of these here are all in the 95 to 98 percentile range. You're not
efficient.
Efficient. You're not going to see a lot of improvement in that area, but where you are going to see the improvement in is refrigerant technology. So now they're going to have we just had a carrier meeting, and they're going to have efficiencies up to, which is SEER, which is Seasonal Energy Efficiency Ratio, or EER, up to compressors for cooling only in the 21 SEER rating, and right now we're mandated at 13 by the federal government. So they're going to have 21 SEER units. Then we're also going to have heat pumps that can do, I don't even know how high they are now, but they're They're getting into the 30 range, super efficient because they're variable flow refrigerants. So refrigerant compressors. So what's going to happen is the compressor, this compressor, when it turns on, it runs at one speed. Now what's going to happen is going to be a variable speed compressor, similar to the blower motors and the inducers that you have in the furnaces now, in the high-end furnaces. So that's going to take in, then move the refrigerant as it's needed, which adds to efficiency. Now, in heat pump technology is going to follow that strongly. And what a heat pump will do is anytime the temperature is, say, 36 and above, you'll run on a heat pump. It'll feel exactly like your furnace. You wouldn't know the difference, but you'll actually be running your air conditioner. It extracts the heat from the air outside and puts it into the building. Similar, just reverse cycle of what you're used to, where it extracts heat from in the building and puts it outside, exhausts it out the top here. It's going to absorb the heat outside and it's going to extract it in the building. It's going to give it off in the building. So it's the same thing but reversed. That technology is coming, that we're going to see in the fourth quarter of this year, and that is incredibly, it's a big, huge